Hi, I'm Paul Warren.
And I'm Ryan Klein.
And this is another episode of SEO is Dead and Other Lies. Ryan, how are you doing on this miserable, rainy-ass day in Orlando?
I'll get used to it. It's probably be like this next 3 days.
Yeah, that's where we're at now.
I'm holding your broken mic. Sorry, buddy.
Oh, man. This is, if it sounds a little weird, it's because we're both sharing a mic. We had some technical difficulties. One of our mics is dead. It's gone now.
No one knows who did it.
Yeah. But we're gonna work through this because we have a great episode. We actually have a guest today. Ryan, why don't you tell us a little bit about our guest?
Sarah, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? We're really glad you're here. We haven't had a guest in a while.
What an introduction.
I don't know. Hey, Sarah, how's it
Thanks,
going?
guys.
We've been trying to do this webinar for a bit. Not a webinar. This
Podcast
is a podcast about a webinar. And, we tried to schedule it probably starting 5 or 6 weeks ago, but it's probably my fault. And then next it was Paul's fault and then my fault again. And here we are. Sarah, you have quite a bit of experience doing webinars. And I think that Paul and I were doing a podcast about a month and a half ago, and we were talking about different forms of content.
That's right.
And other things. And I was like, wow, webinars are super cool, but I don't know a lot about them. Thing is, Sarah over here does.
That's right. So Sarah, tell us a little bit about your experience doing webinars, how you got into doing that and what you're doing with it today.
Absolutely. So I come from the tech side of things. So in my industry, we need to represent not only our organization as thought leaders and subject matter experts, but the people that you're working with. So right now I work for a training organization. So webinars are really great where we get to take our content and break everything down into 30-minute segments, hour segments, and really deliver content in a kind of exciting way. So webcasts have been a huge part of my marketing background.
Wow, you've done this before, haven't you? You've explained this pretty clearly for people. So you call them webcasts. That's the first thing that I noticed. Is webinar not the cool way of saying it now?
Webcasts, webinars. I don't know. Is that am I dating myself? Am I too old? Is a webinar? Is that the new?
Better. I think that webcast is the future. Webinar is totally.
I just don't want to sound like a nerd, so I just make sure we're saying it right.
But yeah, we figured like this would be a great topic for people. I know we're going to try to pull in like the SEO components or some other ways we can kind of leverage the content you're talking about and eventually link building. But webinars are just really fascinating. So how did you kind of get into this segment of marketing?
So for me, it's always about content. And time is one of those things with content that's a bit valuable. So what can I do to selfishly spend the least amount of time creating a piece of content and then be able to take that piece of content and extend it in 100 different ways?
No, we're all about that.
Podcasting.
When you start talking about repurposing, we're like, oh my God, I'm all ears. Let's talk more about that. So yeah, you're in tech. I think you're more specifically like cybersecurity nerd, and that's and
official title, cybersecurity nerd.
That's cool. I mean, shoot, that's how you get blown up on Twitter a lot, right?
So let's explain to our listeners a little bit like why they would even want to do this and put like the effort into it, right?
Okay.
Because maybe you're not comfortable doing a webinar, talking, on a recording, having a live webinar. But what are like, sort of the conversion rates? Because I know in general, if you can get someone to actually show up and watch you in person or listen to you or a recording, usually it converts at a much higher rate than any other medium.
Yeah,
absolutely. So if you're putting the content out there and you're, giving that information away for free and kind of getting them to bite the hook, that's what you're looking for, is to really start building that trust with your following and get them to know first who your brand is, who your subject matter experts are, who they're getting into business with. Our audience, they're really smart. They don't need me to get in the way. They're going to find the information themselves. If I can get them that information faster, that's better for me. I think it was Ann Hanley that said, your awesome website isn't awesome. They're not going to be able to get to the website and find out what they want to find out. They want to get the information themselves.
So what do you think, and if you can't really tell us this, you don't have to, but what are your like conversion rates on the webinars that you do?
Webinars for us are our highest converters. Conversion rates, I would say 1 every 4 minimum over 6 months.
So you're doing that like kind of the long play. So they hop in. They may not be a believer. They might not be indoctrinated right off the bat. But I love that you said 6 months. So what are you doing for
product too? It's a larger investment. So that that gets them in the funnel. So then for the next 6 months, you're taking them and you're leading them down that journey. So with additional webcasts, with other offerings that you have. So of course, social media for me is one of those things where, we have to do it, especially in the industry that we're in. It's not a converter for us, but it just continues that brand recognition and keeping top of mind. Send them additional resources. It's all about content. It always comes back to content. And so giving them, what those additional materials are that they need to pull that trigger for us.
So let's say I want to start doing webinars. I'm just like an average guy. Where do I go? Where do I start doing this? What's my first move? So
I think find your platform. That's certainly a contested thing, depending on what you like. If you like Zoom, if you're a go-to webinar person, fine. Starting with just the basics. What do you have access to, and then your content. What are you knowledgeable about? What are you passionate about? What is something that the field is missing? I was listening to someone present the other day talking about how there's so much content out there and how we keep on repeating ourselves and how we're really kind of junking up the system with all these people that are just repeating themselves over and over again, talking the same thing. So what does the audience need? What does the market need? How can you fill that gap? And presenting that in a new and exciting way that can get your audience excited about.
So how do you guys normally get people to actually attend your webinars? Because being in something where we produce content, obviously we want people to download these podcasts. And it was slow going from the start, but we've ramped things up a little bit.
We have people listen. I don't know who they are, but they're cool. I love every single one of them, to be honest. I like when Paul's asking his questions. It's like, these are slick questions. He's looking at me like, I got a good question. I want to look at you when I say it.
Deep into your eyes. So
that validation.
How do you guys drive traffic to it and I guess signups for your webinar?
So there's always, of course, social media, free marketing. That's always nice. Just requires a bit of time. For us, we still work with B2B and B2C sales. So giving my sales team, my sales account executives, content that they can use instead of, knocking on someone's door and asking them to buy something, saying, hey, we have these free resources for you to help build that justification to whoever it might be to, again, just to pull that trigger and to convert that into a sale. So being able to arm my sales account executives with those sales enablement materials, that's a huge value add for them and really helps to build that audience. And then we're seen as people that have these awesome webcasts or webinars or podcasts or whatever that offering might be. But being seen as those people that, we have the awesome webcasts, webinars, people come to us and see what we have coming up next and just building that, just kind of establishing that we will have those coming up. So knowing that for me, I like to do them first Wednesday of the month for one topic. I'll do another one. It's the second Tuesday of every month. It's a different topic. Just establishing that, that cadence there so they can expect to come to you for that knowledge.
So developing a regular
kind of like a podcast.
Yeah, like a regular posting or a regular webinar schedule.
Yeah,
is key.
Exactly. Managing those expectations, I think, is huge.
Cool. So you think that it's definitely one of those things where you build the foundation and if you just stick with it, you might get like a lot of people maybe the first time, and the second time maybe it's not as much, but it doesn't matter. You got to stay committed. Don't lose focus. And then after a while of doing it, you think naturally, if the content is good, you should eventually build that base that you'll build upon in the long run.
Exactly. And engage your followers. Who's listening? Was this a valuable webcast? Did you get anything from it? How can we give you what you want? And I think when your audience feels valued and when they feel like they're a part of it, it gives them something to get excited about and want to come back or want to purchase.
I have a question. Paul, you asked like 7 questions in a row. All right. So one big thing that I like to focus on for a moment or for a few moments is you mentioned the journey.
Uh-huh.
The journey is everything. So I think that the webinar is a great point A for a journey. It's like, it has everything you want right off the bat. They can relate to you. They're getting great information. It's a lot of good things happening at once. So you're talking about, ultimately, of course, you want them to be a client or a customer or make a purchase. At what point are you really trying to, is there any point you're trying to get kind of aggressive, or are you kind of just taking it kind of slow on this journey? And at what point are you really trying to like force the sale? Are you trying to do it like at the end of the webinar? Are you trying to do it after maybe a couple follow-ups after the webinar? Like, at what point of the journey is it ideal to kind of like pounce on and try to be a little push whatever it is that you're doing? So
for me, you don't want to scare the bunny. You want to be seen as, volunteering information, giving, part of that away. And it really goes back to, establishing yourself as a thought leader, building that brand recognition, and all that good, heartfelt stuff, which is why we got into marketing, right? So for me, it's putting it out there that you are the subject matter experts on the topic, and just making it easy for them to pull that trigger and convert. It's so for us, again, we're in cybersecurity, so we are offering training solutions. So telling them, establishing that need, showing them these are the threats that are out there. These are ways that you can move around it, here, and diving deep into one of those scenarios. For us, it's, they know their stuff. We want to see what else they have. And so creating that journey for them. From that point after the webcast, it's send them an email. Here's the archived versions. Here's the, the slides you can access. Taking that webcast, you can turn it into a blog. You can turn it into more of a mini series. Taking that hour-long webcast, which, let's be honest, who really has a full hour anymore to sit down and to do that all at once? I know for me, it's 20 minutes here, and I'll pause it, and I'll go grab a cup of coffee, and I'll get lost in the email and do something else. It's breaking those down into smaller segments has been really valuable. Throwing them out to social media and building flyers and pamphlets and postcards with all that material. Breaking it down into more digestible chunks, I think, has been really helpful and part of that journey and building that out. When to actually pounce on them, it's I think it comes naturally.
Okay. Do you use the term micro content when it comes to repurposing?
Ooh, no, but I'm going to now. Micro content.
Don't do it.
You can say that you heard it on this podcast.
Yes, I like digestible chunks, but micro content, that's gonna be the new thing.
Oh, she's writing it down.
It's the key. Micro content's the key. I can already read the blog post about it right now. So we did an episode on here long ago, which I didn't think was very successful, where we talked about our SEO failures.
That's a good one, though.
But since you're on here and you've been doing webinars for so long, we thought maybe you would have some webinar failures that you could talk about. Totally wrong.
Let's just talk about all the negatives.
It's cathartic. You're going to like it.
So airing of grievances. So for me, it's, building off of what we were just saying, when do you pounce? I think definitely being too marketing heavy and being, this is, what you want to buy, this is how you buy it, and really pushing that was not received well. Audience ate us alive. This was a waste of time. And it goes back to, again, engaging your audience, getting that feedback. Would you guys come back again? Was this valuable? I think the questions that are asked throughout the webcast or webinar, that's always helpful to really just get that feedback from them. So being too marketing heavy and rushing, to that finish line, definitely a pain point. Definitely something that I did in my early days. I would not want to do again. It's really just leading and with that content and showing, your trusted source.
Have you ever had?
So that was.
Have you ever seen a host just like completely bomb? Just like
I did the other day.
Just completely like go blank, or just forget, like just mess it up real bad.
Oh, absolutely. You have people that are so passionate about what they do, and they work remotely, they stay at home, they're not people person, especially in tech. I think we're really plagued with that a lot, where we're so passionate about it, and then it's all right, now present this in front of people. Or even in marketing, I know for me it took me a while to start just presenting on webcasts and getting used to hearing myself talk. That's my voice. That's what I sound like. Oh, okay, well, just taking that out and getting used to it. We're all people. We're all gonna mess up a little bit, but yeah, I think that's definitely a pain point. But I think that's why webcasts where you have more than one person on it, where you can play off of each other and really set the other person up to shine a bit more, that's, I think, huge.
Yeah, we finished each other's sandwiches.
Oh, damn it. So yeah, we can totally relate to that. I think even now we still kind of hate hearing our voices on the recordings.
From day one, I don't even care. I was like, I
sound like such a nerd.
I was like, I like the way I sound. I don't
Yeah.
care.
we totally can relate.
Cool. So the content itself and the topics. So I'll preface a little bit because I want to try to pull in the digital marketing SEO people in, and then you can kind of maybe give us some feedback or insight. So, imagine like an SEO is like, cool, I want to try webinars. I think there's a way I can get people to register. I'm really good at, I have a great email list, or I'm really good at getting in front of the right people on Facebook to join. So you would never have a podcast in SEO about like how to do SEO, because that's like so bloated, it's insane. So you'd have to get pretty specific. You always want to get kind of niche. So for SEO or digital marketing work, it's like I have a really awesome way to do like a great converting like landing page for pay-per-click. How do you kind of come up with your topics, and how specific do you normally get?
We get pretty nitty gritty. We get right up in there. And it goes back again to, knowing your audience and to really engaging with the community. For me, that's super important, getting out there and knowing who you're talking to and what are they looking for. So whether it's, again, going back to social media, just kind of taking a pulse, what's out there, what content is existing, what are people looking for. I go to a lot of community events and to different industry events where I'm just right up front with them and talking to them about what they're looking for. So that's super helpful. And engaging your subject matter experts, what are they looking for? Whether you're looking for SEO, what are you guys searching for? What's something that would be helpful for you? If it's helpful for you, I'm sure there's going to be a couple other people that are looking for the same thing. So I think that's really important.
So you'd say kind of like going to your community would be the best, instead of doing like maybe like a trending search or keywords.
I think there's multiple outlets you can find, like digging right in there and into the community, seeing what they're looking for. But yeah, there's of course always the keyword searches. Those are always good. So selfishly, what would help boost my page? There's always that side of it too.
Now we're really talking SEO.
Yeah.
How much does SEO and like some digital marketing aspects play into your role with webinars and promotion and repurposing?
Now, don't tell my team that I said this, because of course it's always about content and about giving the community what they want, and not about boosting my pages, and not about making my SEO team happy. But really, it is.
That's what
so that's definitely it.
Now we're talking.
Do
you want to go into that? Do you want to go into that at all, or are you gonna just feel awful about it?
Oh no, it's okay. I'll feel a little bad, but we get that moral code. So I think it's that happy compromise between what does my community want, and how can I massage that and make that work for what does my website need.
Okay.
And how can my website rank better? And it's a tough balance, but that's why we do what we do, and why we're so passionate about it. It's because it's that fun puzzle, I think, that we're all looking to do, that we're all looking to solve.
What have you seen from like an SEO standpoint have like the biggest impact, like after a webinar? Was it just like you saw something that was trending, you did the webinar, and you're like, oh baby, I just got a ton of traffic to the website because of that?
Ooh, so with different themes that are trending right now, talk about like cloud is one of those big kind of nebulous topics that we don't really know what to talk about. So we're trying to trend, we're trying to get up there. How do you do that? Well, there's so many different avenues that you can explore. So by digging into webcasts, and then there's so many tools that are available to us. So different transcription tools. And by transcribing one of our webcasts and putting that into blog form, easily, shooting us right back up in the rankings.
Well, don't use the one that we use.
Oh man, we literally just did a whole podcast and like a transcription right before this one, or a couple before this one. I have a question. Is it it's like it's daylight outside at your place and it's like pitch black out here. Did you record this ahead of time? I was saving that one.
And how do you do that?
Okay. No, never mind. That was stupid.
Sunny Atlanta.
It does look like it's bright outside, but I can't tell what's going on. Those are some of the questions that I had.
Such a professional host.
Well, that's like 4 questions in a row, and I'm super satisfied.
So dead air. Love it. It's fantastic. So where do you see this going in the future with what you're doing? Is there any areas of like advancement changing? I mean, I know socials become kind of bigger with like live streaming things. So do you think there's any like aspects of change that are going to happen to this, or different platforms or things like that?
I think with everyone working so remotely, I think that's been, really key to what we're doing, is that the fact that we're able to engage, our global audience in such a unique way. So leveraging different tools that are out there, whether it's, the different webcast platforms that we're using, different transcription services. If we're live streaming something, if we have 2 people on a webcast, or if we have 5 people on a webcast, how we're able to do that, and how we're able to integrate, live polling features and different questions from the audience. I think that is really key and makes your webinar more dynamic and more exciting to attend. And not only that, but more exciting to do. If you're not having fun creating the content, why are you doing it?
That's like us with the podcast. I mean, we're really happy doing this all the time. I don't know if you've heard much about like what Google and other search engines. I don't know that much about it yet. They're trying to like pull in like podcasts and make it more a prominent form of content. Like Google's going to index podcasts different. Do you think that could happen for webinars and other stuff?
I think it would be interesting. Very curious to see where that goes.
Do you guys
enough about it.
Once you're done with a webinar, do you like publish it on like YouTube or something? So does it live somewhere permanently, or is it just like you have to watch it as it's happening? Like, so do you record it and use it for later?
Ooh, what a sore subject. Just digging right in there.
Ooh.
So for
Looking.
So for us, we have it's a question of the gate, right? It's the logging in to the platform to access the information. So we have, we pride ourselves on being, a library of free resources. You have to log into that library, but then we'll give you access to the information. So what we do is we pick the best of the best webcasts that we do. And we take that, we put that outside of the gate. So essentially we're giving you this information for free. You can find it on YouTube. It's all searchable through there. And we try and give you that so that you want to then take that information and say, this is valuable for me. I want to sign up. I want to get more information from that.
Oh, wait. So are you saying that you cut them off at like a certain segment and then they have to sign up for the rest?
We want to encourage people to join what we call the community. You get all the access.
So yes,
it is. It's really good.
Exactly. It's like if you're.
So what we'll do is we'll take like the highlight.
Stopped in the middle.
No, sorry. That sounded like you said like the community, like it was like a trademark, like it was the capital T community, capital C TM. So I was like, huh.
No, so we'll take the best of the best. So we'll go like listicle way, right? So the top 10 for this topic, and we'll put that in front of the wall. Where you can access that information for free. Just searching YouTube, you can find that information there. But then to get other information, so to get additional webcasts or to get some of the other resources that we offer, you would need to sign in and you need to create the account. But we've already done such a great job of establishing ourselves as thought leaders and trusted partners in the mission, that they're going to go ahead and do it. That they're going to go ahead and join it because they see the value.
Now they're gonna the mission, yeah. TM.
The mission.
So.
Yeah.
So I'm always trying to like reel in the SEO portion, as much as possible. So, SEO or like agency or business looking for ways to produce great content. Webinar is 100% right there, especially for also getting clients. But link building, as you know, in SEO is very important too. Are you ever in situations where you can use webinars in a certain way to potentially get links from other websites and authoritative websites?
It's really tough with our audience that we're working with. Because of the industry that we are in, they are very tricky to kind of trick that way. That's something that it's one of those we want to explore, haven't explored too much yet.
Yeah, so like you probably wouldn't get a link from some tech dude, like some dude's blog is not going to be like, wow, this is the best webinar ever. But like other businesses might refer to your webinar or content that you've produced, which is already the authority on the subject matter, and link to you. So I'm just wondering.
Oh, absolutely, in that way.
Such as. You could have said
and
no.
In that way, yes, absolutely. No, well, so in that way, yeah. We just being, offering all that free information, out of the goodness of our heart, taking that information, putting it in front of the wall, and presenting ourselves as thought leaders in that space. We definitely work with industry leaders and influencers, if you will, that will present us as being, the go-to source. So I think in that and finding areas that you're able to partner and to build that relationship that isn't, detrimental to the business. That's not competitive.
For the record, Sarah totally cringed when she said influencer. It's too social for you. At least, yeah.
It really is.
Yeah, it's a social influencer. I have one more question, and then we'll talk about something else anyway. What's the most interesting micro content / repurpose content that you've done?
Micro content, there it is.
Yeah, I'll throw it in.
The most interesting. So we took one of our webcasts that we did and we broke it into 5 different segments. And so what we did was we turned it into kind of like a lunch and learn, something that you could take away with you and listen to in a realistic lunch break. From that point, we turned those mini webcasts or mini webinars, was it micro content? Micro content. Each piece of micro content into a separate blog based off that. And so then we were able to track and measure, what did better? Was it that larger piece of content? Was it the smaller piece of audio content? Was it the smaller blog? What did better and what's worth our effort going forward?
Cool.
So that was a really cool test to do. I'm all about testing.
I love talking about repurposing content.
Oh, for sure. After all the work that you did building that larger webcast, if you're able to take it and to repurpose it into smaller segments, blogs, future presentations that you're able to do. So thinking of just like industry events and be able to present it there, to doing social media. There's so many different ways you're able to leverage that and expand that piece of content.
Cool. Yeah. So if you're interested in learning more, Sarah has a podcast with about 400 episodes called I Love Webinars, and you should too. And you could subscribe anywhere. No, but
the influencer that I am.
Yeah, appreciate your time. This is like exactly what I wanted to hear about webcasts and webinars and podcasts.
Yeah. Thanks for being on the podcast. We said we're gonna have more guests, and damn it, we're gonna have more guests.
It took like 4 months. It's not a big deal even.
But you are, I think you're our fourth guest that we've ever had on our podcast. So you're a rare community here.
You're my favorite guest so far, Sarah. Thank you.
Nice.
Awesome ranking. Well, thank you guys. Had a blast.
If there's anything in your position you wish you knew more about from an SEO standpoint, and if there's a podcast we could make, what do you think you could benefit from?
It's a good question.
I always say the best for last.
That was a good question.
Yeah. This is how we suck up extra time, right? Is me sitting here trying to flounder around and think of what we're looking for. For me, it's always hearing from your guests. What are they doing? What are their challenges? And going back to what we said before, if one person's facing it, a couple other people are facing it. So hearing how other people are kind of working their way through those issues that's really helpful. So how are people getting their content out there, and how are people presenting it in kind of new and exciting ways, especially with feeding that Google machine and trying to beat it. So that's always helpful for me. just finding, new, unique, creative ways.
Okay.
Sneaky ways, but.
That was very aggressive, beating the Google machine. I never even really put it that way, but I guess that's how you kind of operate over there. That's fine.
Beating the Google. I like it, actually. I like it. You beat him with micro content. That's how you do it.
Beat the crap out of it with micro content.
But okay. Well, thank you so much for being on. We really appreciate it, and I think you gave some great advice and some great insights on doing webcasts. I'm going to say it right from here on out because I want to be one of the cool kids.
I think it sounds better.
Yeah, on webcasts. So thanks again, and I'm Paul Warren.
And I'm Ryan Klein.
And this has been another episode of SEO is Dead and Other Lies. Bye.
Peace. Thanks.